Hello and welcome to my channel. In this first episode, I'm going to take you through a tutorial on how to change this flat cinematic footage into an amazing color graded footage. This video was specifically shot on the Blackmagic Cinema 4K camera with a Black Promise filter. So the software we are going to use is Premiere Pro, Adobe Premiere Pro. I'm going to first import the footage. With that, I'm going to do a simple drag and drop, right? The next, I would right click on the footage, go down and do new sequence from clip right here. And just like that, we have our sequence created. I'm going to drag my sequence into a folder. But first, I will extend this area here, drag the sequence into a folder. The name is sequence, right? And then I'll drag my video footage into another folder and name it footage. The first thing I usually like to do is to add a Rec 709 filter. So I'll select my footage here and drop down the basic correction tab, and under input LUT I'm going to drop it down. And though this video was shot on a Blackmagic Cinema 4K camera, I usually like to go with the Alexa default lock to Rec 709, right? So yeah, so right from the start we have this beautiful footage right here, and just by keeping the footage in the sequence area selected, we can go to our effect controls and you can see we have this lumetri color filter created. If you turn it on and off, you can see that that's our Rec 709, right? For our Rec 709, I want to right click on lumetri color, rename it to Rec 709 because that's the only thing I want to do on this layer. We can keep our footage selected, go back to the lumetri color tab, and then under where you have Rec 709, we can drop it down and add lumetri color effects. That's going to add another lumetri color here, so we'll be able to keep our Rec 709 separate. So the next thing I'll do is, I feel the footage lacks a little bit of contrast, right? I'll add a little bit of contrast by pushing it to the right a little. And then for the shadows, I think I can pull it back to the left a little to add a little more shadows to the footage. And if as you can see here, our blacks is now becoming more black, but you can see hints of, is it cyan or blue in there, and our background is looking all green and amazing. The skin is not popping. We'll get back to that later. For now, I think we can increase our whites just a little bit. Our highlights, I think we can drop it down a little bit to keep that cinematic feel. And our exposure, I'll rock back and forth to find the perfect level. I feel like minus 0.1 is fine. The next thing is we'll go under the creative tab and then see if we can find any color presets that we can also throw on this footage. I saw one here that looks a little dull, and I think, let's see, okay, it's already looking bad, but then let's try to reduce the intensity a little bit to control the amount of filter we add to it. Okay, I'll keep it right here and leave it. So let's turn it off and on. So we started from here. This is with Rec 709 with our basic color correction, and now with our creative color look. The next thing would be our curves, right? And before I touch my curves, I like to go through my colors to make sure everything is set to the right tone or intensity that I want. So I'm going to pick under hue and saturation. I'm going to pick the greens here, and you can see the greens have been selected. And by selecting the middle key point, I can either push it up to increase the saturation of only the green, or drop it down to reduce it, and it can go as low as this, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just keep it a little bit saturated. right here is perfect for me. Under hue versus hue, that's supposed to help you change the color. So if you feel this green has a little bit of yellow and you want to drop it down, you just use the eyedropper to select, like I've done here, and you click on the middle one, you drop it down. That will turn it into a more like a green shade. But you know, plants usually have a little bit of yellow, so we're going to bring it back up slightly, like so, right? And I think the luma of the greens are a little too bright, so I'm going to select it, and for the luma I'm going to, just like I did for the ones at the top, I'm going to drop it down and make the plants look darker. If you drop it down too much, you start getting some artifacts here, and that's not cool. And also if you increase it too much, you start getting, I mean, a lot of that same artifact. So bring it back to how it was, and then we'll drop it slightly, and that, I believe, is perfect, right? So now let's go back to our curves and create a simple S curve here, right? So we reduce the shadows and we increase the highlights, right? Already I think it's looking amazing, right? But generally the footage is now darker, especially looking at the lady skin. So we'll scroll back up, go under the basic correction tab and increase the exposure just a little. All right, the next thing I would like to do is white balance. At this point the footage has a lot of greens, and though the skin is a little bit okay, I think it has a lot of green. So under the tint tab, I'm going to push it towards the red area to reduce the greens. Now you can see the difference, right? So like if I push it here, you see more greens. If I push it here, you see more purple, right? But I'm going to keep it at a sweet spot, which is right here. And this is also the temperature. We can make it cooler by moving it to the blues, and make it warmer by moving it to the yellows, but I'm gonna find a sweet spot. You can also use the eyedropper to click on it and then click on any white area, especially here top here, and it's going to give you a perfect white balance based on what the app thinks looks good, right? But I mean, I'm gonna eyeball it and then probably go with this, because for me, based on my experience, this is okay. The next thing I like to touch on is the skin. The skin looks a little dull. It's not popping for me, though the colors, I mean, for the colors I would say is fair enough, but I think the skin needs to pop. When I say pop, I mean we need to brighten it a little bit, right? I'm going to move the timer to a point where I feel like most of the skin is showing and the lighting is perfect, which could be right here, right? I think I can keep it right here. And then we'll select our footage, go back to our inputs, LUTs above that, where you have lumetri color, and we're going to add another lumetri color effect. I forgot to rename the second lumetri color effect, right? So I'm going to right click, select to rename, and then name it as white balance, as WB / curves. So that was our basic color, and now this third one would be renamed as skin. So this lumetri color tab is supposed to target only the skin, right? And to target the skin, would have to go to this area right here, HSL secondary. We're going to use the first eyedropper tool to click it, move to our area. I think there's a cool place to select. We'll click it and you can see the skin is selected, but to see the area that's selected, you need to come here and turn on this check button, right? And as you can see, we tried our best to select the skin, but not every part of the skin was selected. We're going to use the second one, the eyedropper with a +2, click on it and also click on another skin area. It will take quite some time to get the skin selected perfectly. So what I'm going to do to cut it short would be to select the tool again, click, hold, and drag across the skin area that I like to select, right? So the app will also do its job. It makes the job quite easier. As you can see, we are doing quite a good job with the skin selection. We're going to pass the eyedropper tool over some of the other parts to get a perfect selection. Most often you might not get an extremely perfect selection, right? So I think something around this area is fine. Let's turn it off and see if there are more skin areas that we need to select. As you can see, we are missing the neck area, so we turn it back on, use the tool and select. We need to be very careful with this because the eyedropper tool might also select parts of the background, right? And we don't want that. As you can see, little parts of the hair and the background are also selected. I mean, that's fine. We can still work with it. We can work on it for quite some time to make it more perfect, but I think what we have is fine. I mean, I can keep it like this, and then let's scrub through and see. Okay, so even on this frame you can see most of the skin areas are selected, right? What we are going to do is to increase the denoise, to denoise the selection a little bit, and we are also going to increase the blur. I realized that this helps to select more of the unselected areas, right? Yeah, because once you have the blur, the selected areas will probably or most often blur into the deselected areas, which will result in you selecting most of the skin surface, right? Now that I have at the back of my mind that the skin is already selected, we can scroll down and start adding color or editing the color of the skin. This slider, vertical slider right here, is used to brighten or darken the skin. So if I increase it, if I move it up, you see the skin, the selected area gets brighter, just like this, right? Same way, if I move it down, it will get darker, but I would like to keep it at a sweet spot, not too bright, not too dark. All right, this is fine for me. I like to change the temperature of the skin. I want it more towards the warm side, yeah, to make it a little bit warm. I mean, this is cool, and also try to add a little bit of contrast to the skin, and I'll also add a little bit of sharpness. All right, and for the saturation, I think the skin looks too saturated, so I'm going to drop it down a little bit to about 90. I think 90 looks perfect, right? We can also use this area to determine what color we want to add to the skin. So if you move it towards the yellows, you see more yellows will be added. If you move it towards the greens, you see more greens will be added in just a second. Yeah, right, this looks too yellow and now it looks too green, and I usually like to leave it at a sweet spot, so a little bit in between the green and the yellows, right? I don't want it to look too green, I don't want it to look too warm as well. Vignette would help us to, or help the eye to focus on the subject, right? Because now you can see the environment, that's the left and right parts of the clip are very bright, and our eye would tend to focus more on those areas. And to add that, I can add it to this skin lumetri color layer, but I would like to create another lumetri color, rename it as vignette. So we'll add lumetri color, select it here in the effects control panel, right click, rename, vignette, right? Then we're going to, for the amount, we move it to the left. for the midpoint, we want to move it a little bit more to the middle, and we're going to feather it. All right, I think the amount is a little bit too much. That's why the edges are too dark. So we'll bring it back close to 0, but not 0. I think minus 0.2 is fine. So this is with vignette. This is without vignette. With vignette. Without vignette. And just like that, we have an amazing color graded footage. Imagine where we started from and where we are right now. This looks amazing, and I think this is good enough to feature in any of your big video production projects, right? So if you like this episode, kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video, and leave me a comment. If you want the working files as well, leave me a comment and I'll probably drop it in the description. Catch you in the next episode. Bye.